Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another incredible deep dive into the astonishing world of rare coins where ordinary change transforms into extraordinary treasure as we explore how a seemingly simple 2002 P5-cent piece could reach an unbelievable value of $145 million because of its errors, mistakes, hidden anomalies, and the remarkable possibilities that push its worth far beyond anything collectors ever imagined, drawing in enthusiasts, experts, and newcomers alike who are always fascinated by the mystery behind coins that escape the mint in bizarre forms and end up becoming legends in the numismatic community. And today's story begins with this 2002 P nickel that looks basic at first glance yet carries layers of abnormalities that make it one of the most sought-after era coins of all time, as collectors continue debating how such a massive combination of rare features could exist in a single piece of currency, starting with the foundational error that experts refer to as a multi-stage misstrike, a phenomenon that occurs when a coin receives more than one imperfect impression from the die due to mechanical malfunction or misalignment during the production cycle. And on this particular example, the details of Jefferson's portrait are incompletely formed along the jawline, while the forehead appears doubled as though it shifted microscopically between impressions, resulting in a ghost-like halo that dramatically increases the coin's desirability because doubled features with this level of clarity are extraordinarily rare in modern coins, especially those produced in high-volume years like 2002 when the Philadelphia Mint was operating with intense speed. Yet the strangeness does not stop there, because this same coin displays what collectors call a rotational misalignment, in which the obverse and reverse fail to line up in the standard 180-degree orientation, instead appearing twisted by an unusual angle suggestive of mechanical error occurring mid-strike, and rotational misalignments of any significant degree already attract attention, but a severe one combined with a doubled obverse creates a spectacular pairing that pushes the coin even closer to mythical value territory. And adding to this already extraordinary combination is a dramatic die break stretching from the rim across Jefferson's cheek, producing a jagged raised ridge that looks almost like a lightning bolt cutting through the design, a feature that is the direct result of the die cracking under pressure during the minting process. And collectors prize such dramatic breaks because they represent the final moments of a deteriorating die right before it becomes unusable, giving the impression that this coin was one of the last survivors struck before the flaw was detected and the equipment replaced. And when such errors appear on coins that already carry major design anomalies, the cumulative rarity multiplies their value exponentially, especially when preserved in high-quality condition, which this hypothetical $145 million coin is said to possess, since no major wear softens its edges, no deep scratches distract from the imperfections, and the luster remains shockingly intact considering the chaos of its creation, something that makes collectors speculate that it may have slipped into circulation only briefly, or perhaps never at all, before ending up in the hands of someone sharp-eyed enough to recognize its potential significance. Though the intrigue doesn't end with visible errors alone, because hidden beneath the surface is what experts describe as a planchette composition anomaly, indicating that the coin may have been struck on a transitional or experimental metal blank rather than the standard copper-nickel alloy typically used for nickels at the time. And though extremely rare, such composition mistakes can occur when leftover planchets from testing phases accidentally mix with regular stock, and when a coin exhibits other major errors. The presence of an off-metal strike becomes a dream scenario for advanced collectors, because off-metal coins often represent mint experiments that were never meant to be released to the public, which pushes the value again into astonishing territory, helped further by the coin's distinctive weight measurements that fall slightly outside the normal tolerance range, a subtle but meaningful indication that materials in its creation were not uniform or typical, fueling the belief that the coin is not merely an accident but part of a larger unknown narrative in mint history, possibly tied to machinery calibration tests or production irregularities that were otherwise undocumented, thereby adding a touch of mystery that collectors find irresistible. And the reverse side of this remarkable coin offers its own set of anomalies, since the Monticello building appears shifted from its intended center, creating what is known as an off-center partial strike that leaves a thick border on one side and a thin margin on the opposite edge, an error that becomes even more significant when combined with the rotational misalignment and doubled obverse, forming an error trifecta so improbable that experts argue the statistical odds of all these imperfections appearing on a single coin exceed anything witnessed in modern minting history, making the 2002 P nickel in question a numismatic unicorn that transcends traditional valuation methods, as collectors treat it more like a historical artifact than a mere piece of currency, and rumors also circulate about microscopic die polishing lines running diagonally across the fields, suggesting that the dies used may have undergone emergency maintenance from mint workers attempting to restore worn surfaces, an action that inadvertently produced unique patterns on select coins before the machinery was recalibrated. And such lines, though subtle, contribute to the uniqueness of the piece, especially because they interact with the doubled image to create light refraction effects not normally seen on standard nickels, making the coin appear visually striking in hand and photogenic under magnification, a trait that heightens its desirability in the world of collectors who crave coins that tell complex technological and historical stories through their imperfections. While on top of all this, the coin is believed to have a rare edge anomaly resulting from the collar failing to properly contain the planchette during striking, causing a slightly expanded rim on one quadrant of the coin coupled with a subtle but detectable flattening on another quadrant, a physical distortion so unusual that it suggests severe instability during the striking process, leading some experts to suggest that the minting press may have been in the middle of a mechanical breakdown when this coin was produced, meaning that this 2002 P nickel could represent a freeze frame of catastrophic machinery failure caught in metal form, elevating its narrative, and thus its value even more, as collectors place immense importance on coins that document historic events within mint operations, since they become not only rare but educational, serving as evidence of technological fragility and operational challenges faced during mass coinage. And when you combine all these errors, the doubled obverse, off-center reverse, rotational misalignment, heavy die crack, composition anomaly, weight irregularity, mint polishing marks, collar malfunction and extraordinary state of preservation, what emerges is a once-in-history numismatic marvel whose rarity is so extreme that assigning a conventional market value becomes nearly impossible, leading enthusiasts and auction analysts to estimate unbelievable figures, some speculating upward of $145 million based on the uniqueness, historical significance, and unicorn-like impossibility of the combination of errors, making the coin a cultural phenomenon within collector circles and a symbol of how something as small as a 5-cent piece can capture global imagination through an extraordinary mixture of science, history, accident, and mystery. And as people everywhere begin checking their own pocket change, hoping to stumble upon the next legendary era coin, stories like this one fuel passion, curiosity, and excitement in the numismatic world, proving that even modern coins can hold unimaginable secrets waiting to be discovered by those who look closely enough. Next, 1999 P5 cent USA coin. Everyone to this exciting deep dive into the world of rare coins, where even the most ordinary-looking change in your pocket can suddenly transform into a jaw-dropping treasure. And today we are going to explore the unbelievable story behind the 1999 P5 cent piece that collectors speculate could command an astonishing value of up to $150 million because of extraordinary errors, mysterious minting anomalies, and a chain of possibilities that make this coin one of the most talked about and sought after nickels in modern American numismatics. So sit back and immerse yourself in this captivating journey as we unfold every detail, every mistake, and every reason why this small piece of metal has become the center of such dramatic attention among collectors who always dream of discovering the next great rarity hidden in plain sight. The 1999 P Jefferson Nickel may look normal to anyone who glances at it casually, but the deeper you go into its background, the more layers of intrigue you uncover, beginning with the unique production year itself, when the United States Mint was undergoing transitions in die maintenance, coin press calibration, and planchette preparation, circumstances that sometimes lead to unintentional but spectacular minting errors, and in the case of the 1999 P nickel, these potential mistakes appear to converge into a perfect storm of rarity. Among the most discussed possibilities is the presence of double die obverse anomalies, where Jefferson's profile exhibits subtle but undeniable traces of doubling when examined under magnification, particularly around the nose, chin, eye contour, and the letters of the motto, and although doubling has occurred in other years, the 1999 P version is believed to be linked to an unusual dye fatigue pattern not typically seen in late 1990s production, which is why some advanced collectors claim that only a handful at most could have escaped detection before the dyes were retired. Another extraordinary feature attributed to rare 1999 P nickels is the misaligned dye strike, something that happens when the obverse and reverse dyes shift slightly off-center, creating uneven rims, stretched lettering and distorted shapes in Monticello's outline, and in the right conditions such errors can drastically elevate value, especially when they occur on coins from high-demand years, and 1999 was indeed a year collectors now revisit with unexpected scrutiny. There are also stories of off-metal planchette mistakes where the nickel may have been struck on a leftover planchette from another denomination, such as a copper-based or manganese brass disc originally intended for foreign contracts or experimental strikes, and although verifiable examples are extremely rare, the mere possibility dramatically fuels collector enthusiasm because off-metal errors are among the most valuable types in all numismatics. Some researchers believe that during the minting process certain planchets were improperly alloyed, leading to slight discoloration differences, weight irregularities, and edge inconsistencies, and in a market where even a microgram deviation or a subtle shade variation can trigger massive bidding wars, the 1999 P nickel becomes a playground of endless potential. Another mysterious characteristic revolves around strike pressure inconsistencies, which can create ghosting effects around Jefferson's jawline or faint interior doubling inside Monticello's pillars, and such errors are especially coveted when they come from transitional production years where the mint was still adjusting equipment. The presence of die cracks and cuds adds yet another layer of intrigue, as some 1999 P nickels reportedly show raised metal lines across the obverse or chunks missing from the die that leave swollen blank areas on the coin, and these dramatic appearances are cherished by collectors because they provide unmistakable proof of mint origin flaws. Additionally, there are theories about a microlettering anomaly on the reverse where the inscription appears slightly condensed or widened due to pressure shifts, something nearly impossible to replicate artificially, and this authenticity of imperfection is what collectors crave the most. Beyond physical errors, the rarity factor is amplified by the circulation patterns of 1999 nickels where most were heavily used, meaning very few in high-grade condition exist today, and when you combine scarcity with the possibility of multiple overlapping errors, you get a numismatic cocktail so potent that it elevates even a humble 5-cent coin to unimaginable worth. The marketplace for rare coins often thrives on mystery, speculation, and documented patterns of high-value sales, and while not every 1999 P nickel will be a multi-million-dollar treasure, history shows that once a coin becomes associated with unique minting irregularities and the perception of ultra-rarity, its potential value can skyrocket far beyond normal expectations. Collectors imagine scenarios where a single surviving example of a dramatic double die off-metal strike exists, tucked away in a jar or drawer untouched, waiting to emerge as the next record-breaking find, and this dream fuels the narrative that the 1999 P 5-cent coin could be worth up to $150 million under the right circumstances because if a coin displays unique and unrepeatable characteristics and becomes recognized as a one-of-a-kind masterpiece of minting accidents, then its price becomes limited only by how much a top-tier collector is willing to pay. The story grows even more compelling when you consider how coin graders evaluate anomalies where the slightest texture shifts or unusual die polish marks can transform a common nickel into a breathtaking rarity, and the idea that the mint may have accidentally struck test pieces or transitional prototypes only intensifies the speculation. Some numismatists discuss the possibility of retained interior die breaks on 1999 P nickels which create bulging surfaces or crater-like impressions, and these dramatic formations are extremely scarce, forming entirely by accident and lasting only for a brief moment before the dies fail completely, meaning only a handful of coins can ever survive such events. There are also circulating rumors of broad-struck versions of the 1999 P nickel where the coin was struck outside the collar, causing it to expand unnaturally and lose its regular shape, and although these coins are usually caught and scrapped, a tiny number might have slipped through due to oversight. Pressure anomalies could have caused partial collar strikes, giving some coins a strange expanded rim on one side and a compressed rim on the other, a highly desirable oddity for specialists who collect such freak mint occurrences. When you consider the cumulative effect of all these potential errors, the fascinating year of production, the scarcity of high-grade examples, and the allure of a narrative built on mystery, it becomes clear why the 1999 P5-cent piece has captured the imagination of collectors who see it as a potential jackpot hidden among ordinary pocket change. The fascination grows stronger because modern collectors know that the United States Mint does not disclose every tiny mechanical issue that occurs in its facilities, and many unusual events go undocumented, opening the door to endless possibilities about what rare coins might still be undiscovered. This is exactly the reason why people continue searching through rolls, jars, boxes, and estate collections, hoping that one day a coin with a perfect storm of errors will appear. And when enthusiasts consider the legendary sales of past numismatic treasures, they imagine that if the right 1999 P nickel, loaded with multiple dramatic minting mistakes and preserved in exceptional condition, ever surfaces and gets authenticated, it could shatter price records and inspire a new era of coin hunting excitement. The fantasy of finding such a coin is what turns this story into a phenomenon, as collectors envision themselves uncovering something unheard of, something that bridges history, mechanics, and pure chance. With all these layers of intrigue surrounding the 1999 P nickel, the excitement continues to grow and collectors remain eager to search every 5-cent piece they encounter because they know that sometimes the rarest treasures are hiding in the most ordinary places. Last 1994 P5-cent USA coin. Today, as we dive into one of the most astonishing, unbelievable, and mind-blowing numismatic stories you will ever hear. A story that pulls you straight into the mysterious and thrilling world of coins where ordinary pocket change sometimes transforms into extraordinary treasure. And today we are exploring the unbelievable tale of the 1994 P5-cent coin that collectors claim could reach an almost mythical value of $155 million. Because of its bizarre errors, legendary mistakes, and the rare possibilities that surround this coin, making it one of the most talked about pieces in modern American coinage. So let us begin this journey by peeling back each layer and showing how a simple nickel minted in Philadelphia in 1994 became a subject of fascination, debate, and excitement in the collecting community as people uncover strange features, hidden anomalies, and unexpected minting glitches that seem to push this coin into a category far beyond normal production. Because when a coin has a backstory filled with mystery, error complexity, and production oddities, collectors know that the value can skyrocket into unimaginable territory, especially when the errors are so unusual that the coin seems like an accident that should never have existed in the first place. And the 1994 P nickel is one of those pieces that constantly sparks conversation since some examples are believed to have combinations of errors rarely, if ever, found together on a US 5-cent coin. Starting with the idea that certain strikes appear doubled where elements of Jefferson's portrait show shadowed outlines around the cheek, jawline, and here, giving the design an almost ghost-like effect created by mechanical doubling or in rare cases true double-die characteristics. And although double-die nickels exist in various years, the speculation that some 1994 P examples may show a more dramatic version of this has exploded interest. Especially since doubling in areas of the date, the mint mark, and the inscriptions can create a perfect storm of desirability, because collectors crave coins where the errors are bold, noticeable, and rare enough to stand out instantly when viewed under magnification. And that is only the first layer of fascination because many stories surrounding this coin involve off-center strikes where the design shifts dramatically away from its intended boundaries, producing nickels where Jefferson's face seems to slide toward the rim or even partially disappear as though the coin slipped during striking. And off-center strikes by themselves can be valuable, but when combined with a possible doubled feature the rarity multiplies dramatically, especially if the off-center strike still preserves the date and mint mark, because that alone makes the coin desirable, and once stacked with other errors the value transforms from typical collector interest to sky-high premium potential. And beyond this, Collectors have discussed the possibility of broad strikes which occur when a coin is struck without a retaining collar, causing the rim to flatten and expand outward, giving the nickel a stretched or enlarged appearance that again becomes more valuable if paired with another striking anomaly. And then there are whispers about die cracks on some 1994 P examples. Small raised lines forming across Jefferson's face or along the Monticello building on the reverse, which are caused by deteriorating dies. And die cracks can range from tiny hairline fractures to dramatic lightning-like streaks that capture immediate attention. But what truly excites collectors is when these cracks form in positions that seem intentional or artistic by coincidence, making the coin visually special and completely unique. And when combined with doubling, off-center striking and other issues, these cumulative errors create a coin that looks more like an experimental misprint than a standard mint product, which fuels the theory that the 1994 P nickel may include rare transitional or test strikes that accidentally escaped the mint, possibly using dies or planchette compositions under evaluation during that era. And such possibilities alone ignite massive speculation because transitional errors are considered the holy grail of coin collecting, especially when a coin's metal, weight, or finish does not match the standard issue for that year. And collectors always imagine scenarios where a mint employee unknowingly mixed experimental materials with regular production batches, resulting in a strange hybrid coin that slipped into circulation. And whether or not such events truly occurred for the 1994 P nickel remains a subject of intense debate, but the mere possibility adds a layer of mystery that elevates perceived value. And then comes the topic of planchette errors, such as clipped planchets where portions of the coin appear cut off in a crescent-shaped bite taken from the rim, or lamination errors where the metal surface begins peeling or cracking due to flaws inside the metal mixture itself, creating dramatic textures that make the coin look like it is shedding layers. And lamination flaws can be so striking that the coin appears as though it were damaged deliberately, yet is actually an ultra-rare mint error that boosts value significantly. And the 1994 P nickel has reportedly turned up with planchette defects that make some examples nearly unrecognizable to casual observers who may assume damage when in fact the coin represents a minting mishap worth hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on severity. But when collectors fantasize about the ultimate combination of errors, they imagine a single 1994 P nickel exhibiting doubling, off-center striking, die cracks, lamination flaws and possible transitional anomalies all in one piece, creating a monstrous rarity that would have no equal in the world of Jefferson Nickels. And it is this hypothetical perfect storm scenario that fuels stories about values reaching $155 million, because collectors imagine large auction houses bidding aggressively on a once-in-a-lifetime era coin that possesses characteristics never before documented, making it incomparable, unforgettable, and incredibly desirable. And when rarity is paired with speculation, myths, and viral storytelling, the perceived value grows beyond logical boundaries, turning what might be a highly unusual and rare era coin into a legendary treasure. And as more people discuss the 1994 P nickel online, the myth expands, attracting the curiosity of new collectors who then begin searching through jars, drawers, change buckets and old rolls, hoping they might uncover a version of this coin with a dramatic flaw. And even though most examples are ordinary, some people report finding subtle errors like minor die wear, faint doubling, or slight planchette texture issues, which encourages further treasure hunting and deepens the legend. And the cycle continues as more stories emerge about extraordinary finds, creating a sense that the 1994 P nickel could be hiding some of the most astonishing mint mistakes ever discovered. And when excitement merges with scarcity, the value speculation escalates to astronomical levels, making the coin seem like a modern miracle of minting chaos. And the narrative surrounding the coin becomes even more captivating when considering that Philadelphia mint activity in the early 1990s experienced adjustments in machinery, die maintenance, and production speeds, which could theoretically contribute to misstrikes, misalignments, and other anomalies, giving collectors just enough factual grounding to continue believing in the existence of a mega-rare 1994 P nickel. And regardless of whether such a specimen has ever been authenticated, the legend persists because people love stories of unlikely treasure, accidental fortune, and hidden wealth buried in everyday currency. And this entire environment keeps the 1994 nickel in the spotlight as a symbol of hope for collectors worldwide who dream of discovering the next big numismatic phenomenon. And in a community where imagination, excitement, and rare finds blend seamlessly, it becomes easy to see why the value myths continue thriving and why the idea of a $155 million nickel captures so much attention, inspiring people to check their change more carefully, to look closely for doubling, cracks, off center strikes, clip edges and lamination flaws, and to believe that perhaps in the vast ocean of circulating coins there exists one incredible survivor that carries the perfect arrangement of impossible errors. A coin that transforms from ordinary metal into a legendary artifact of minting history and a symbol of the unexpected treasures hiding in plain sight.